Hello YouTube and universe, and welcome to Starstorm Productions. I'm your host Moro, here to bring you everything new on your favorite brands and more. And today we'll be taking a look at more reveals for Transformers Legacy United. But before we begin, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification so you don't miss another video like this. Because it may be a small click for you guys, but it's a big help for me and the channel. Thank you, and without further ado, let's begin. Now, we have a ton of stuff to talk about in this video, so I'll be going quick. We'll be going in size order like all the other videos, and if you're wondering why I didn't talk about the deluxe class figures, I did that last video, and that will be in the description down below. Starting off in core class, we have recolors of two different ones. Starting off with Emirate Galvatron. And we all knew this was coming because we got him in Wave 1, but I wasn't really expecting to get it this soon. But hey, I'm not complaining. It looks amazing. Now, instead of using the Energon toy or the Super Link toy, they're actually basing it off of the animation model, and the way they use it for the figure, it looks amazing. And when you turn it into its vehicle mode, it still looks good as well. The only thing I don't like is that the wings are made out of yellow plastic and is just painted over. I feel like they should have made it two different types of plastic, but hey, I'm not going to complain about it. After Galvatron, we have Emirate Universe Xaaron, which is a pretty interesting name in my opinion. Now, this figure is a retool and recolor of Boulder Crash, and I don't really know what to say about it. It looks pretty unique, but that's really it about it. But it's still pretty unique because it homages a lot of things. Like, look at the head. That head is an homage to the rock monsters that was in the Headmasters. And I can't believe they're actually homaging that because that's a pretty deep cut because not many people know about the Headmasters. And when they did know about it, it was because of the infamous dub and how bad it was. But other than that, there's nothing really much to say about this figure. Moving on from the core class, we have the Voyager class. And there's nothing really much to say about this as well because one of them is a recolor while the other one is a retool of a character from BotCon that many people may want to get. Starting off with the recolor, we have Super God Master Force Metal Hawk. Now, yes, we did get this figure in Legacy Evolution, but this time it's based off of the toy colors instead of the animation colors. And I don't really know how to feel about that because even though the color scheme is cool and all, I prefer the animation accurate model because it kind of reminds me of the IDW version as well. Another thing I don't like about this recolor is that they changed the light gray for a darker shade, which I think looks terrible. And it's even more prominent when you turn it into its vehicle mode, and I don't know how to feel about it. It just looks terrible. Moving on from that disaster, we have Animated Universe Motor Master. And I have to say, I really love how this looks. It is a retool of the animated Optimus Prime, of course, but with a new head, and thanks to the designers, we get to see what they actually did to it. They actually used the head of the BotCon figure, but gave it some of the proportions of the G1 head, and I think they did really good with that, and it looks amazing. But for the body, it's just a black, purple, and green version of Optimus Prime's body. And I can't really complain because this is technically a cheaper way to get Motor Master if you never got the BotCon figure from 2011. And I never got the box set, so hey, this is the perfect figure for me. Moving on to the vehicle mode, and there's nothing really to say. It's just like a recolor of the Optimus Prime we already got. Though I do like the blacks and purples they use, as I already said. And that's it for the Voyager class. Moving on to the Leader class, we have two figures to go over. Starting off with Armada Universe Galvatron. Now, I find this kind of funny since we're getting two different versions of Galvatron this wave. And in Legacy in total, we got three different versions. The G1, the Armada, and Galvatron. Now, this figure was not a surprise to anyone because we already knew we were getting this since of the Armada Megatron that came out during Evolution. Another thing that gave it away was Tidal Wave's box because on the back of it, you could actually see that Galvatron was on the back of it when it was talking about how it could combine. Now, on the figure, I just want to say, the color scheme that they use looks exactly like how it did for the anime, and I love it. Because when Megatron turned into Galvatron in Armada, it was one of my favorite scenes ever. And as we saw Galvatron later on, it just got better every time. Now, for the color scheme of it, it just looks perfect. The way they use the burgundies mixing with the silvers and light purples is just, we Transformer fans are eating good this year. Now, a cool thing that I saw while looking at this figure, if you zoom in on the head, you can actually see that it has a different expression than the Armada Megatron that came out. And I always love when Transformers give us a different expression whenever they retool or recolor a figure. Now, that's it for robot mode. Moving into its vehicle mode, and it looks pretty good. I feel like it's an improvement off of the robot mode because of the vanilla they use instead of white. Then again, this one might just have been miscolored, but either way, it still looks good. The only thing I don't like about it is that it doesn't have any extra accessories. Because, of course, Megatron didn't come with anything, but since this is a recolor, this had the option of coming with something more. And I thought it may come with a mini-con, but no, they didn't give us anything for it, which is unfortunate. After Armada Galvatron, we have one of the most anticipated figures of this line, that being G1 Universe Soundwave. Now, I have to say, even though this is a recolor of the Netflix Soundwave, it looks pretty good. They cleaned it up a little bit, and I like that they did that. Of course, since this is the Netflix Soundwave, it does turn into its cassette mode, which I really need because I don't have any cassette Soundwaves. And since this isn't an exclusive, this gives people more of a chance to actually get it, which I feel like they should have done a while ago, but it's worth it now. But the main thing people might be getting this for are the 3 cassettes that it comes with. And the first cassette we have is Rumble. Now, to me, this is Frenzy, but Hasbro says it's Rumble, so it's going to be Rumble. Now, this is a recolor of the Studio Series one that came out a while ago, and I actually like this color scheme since it's based off of more of the toy instead of the actual show model. Though I don't see why Hasbro did it, but it kind of makes sense because they wanted to pad it out as an actual leader class figure, so they had to add an extra cassette to it. Which I'm not complaining. I never got the Studio Series Rumble, so of course I want to get this so I can also have a Rumble. The next cassette we have is Ravage, of course. You can't have Soundwave without his precious cat, Ravage. Hopefully no one kicks it because we know what happens to those who hurt his cassettes. I was talking about Ravage, right? Okay, so I like what they did for him. They used the all-black color scheme, but I feel like it works for him. Plus, this isn't his Cybertronian one. This is the actual one that came with the Netflix Soundwave, so it's basically just a recolor of that. And for the final cassette, we have one that hasn't really got a figure yet, and that being Buzzsaw. Now, Buzzsaw was the original cassette that Soundwave came with G1, but he's been overshadowed by Laserbeak when it comes to the Condor cassettes. And I felt like we should have been had him in Siege because that would have been the perfect time to reuse the mold. But it's better late than never. I actually like the gold that they use for it. It just looks good. And all in all, I like these 3 cassettes that it comes with. And it's perfect for those who never got it. So hopefully for the people that never got the Netflix Soundwave, this will be your opportunity to get it. And that's it for everything in Legacy, guys. Moving on to the Hasbro Pull stuff, we only have one thing, and it is huge. We have the Transformer UK Comic Book Edition 2-pack of Flame and Emirate Xaaron. Now, this is huge news, because these 2 characters have never gotten figures before, so this is going to be the first time they actually get them. And I am glad we're getting these comic book characters now. Because the last one was Straxus, which we barely get a good toy of that character. And we got it from a Galvatron retool. And now we're getting this, which is amazing. Now, I'll be starting off with Flame because that one looks amazing. Now, Flame is a mad scientist in the Marvel Comics. And as you can see by the logo, he's an Autobot, but he's a traitor as well. So basically he killed most of his teammates and reanimated them as zombies, which is pretty morbid, and the Wreckers had to stop him. Even though he's a bad guy, Hasbro decided to make one of the coolest figures out of him. And starting off in robot mode, I have to say, it was a smart idea to actually use the Gamer Edition Megatron for this mold. It just fits Flame perfectly. And because they used this mold for Flame, it looks very close to how he did in the comic books as well. And I always needed more evil Autobots because the only one I really have is the Times Return Getaway, and that doesn't really work for me, but getting Flame will be the perfect evil Autobot for your collection. And if you have a shelf for your Wreckers, you can even put him up there since he was one of the main villains they had to face. Also, I just want to say, I was right! Because in one of the last videos I made, I said that the next comic book character was going to be Flame. And look who was right. The video for that will be in the description down below so you can have proof that I said it. But all in all, I just love how this figure looks. It is amazing. Moving on to his vehicle mode, he turns into a tank, which is accurate to what he turned into in the Marvel Comics. And I have to say, it actually looks pretty good. I wouldn't expect a red and orange tank to actually look good, but the way they put it all together, it actually does. Now that's it for Flame. Moving on to the next figure in this 2-pack, we have Emirate Xaaron. Now if you don't know who that is, he's one of the leaders of the Wreckers in the Marvel Comics. And he even appeared in one of my favorite stories in the comics. That being Legion of the Lost and Meltdown. Now when it comes to his robot mode, I have to say, I love how it looks. It uses the same gold and silver from the Marvel Comics and it looks amazing. And it's a retool of Reflector, and I was never expecting that to get a retool because the last time we seen it was actually in Siege, so it's a pretty old mold. But for Emirate Xaaron, it works perfectly because it actually fits the same build Emirate Xaaron had in the comics. Now, moving on to his vehicle mode, they had to come up with something completely original because if you read the Marvel Comics, you would know Emirate Xaaron could not turn into his vehicle mode because he could risk killing himself since he hasn't used it in a long time. And I feel like this is a reference to gold plastic syndrome because if you know, gold plastic was so brittle, if you just touched it or anything, it would just break. So them making it an in-universe thing in the Marvel Comics was kind of funny to me. But going back to his actual vehicle mode, I have to say, it looks amazing. Yes, I know I've been saying that a lot, but all these just look great. Now, it looks like some kind of flying tank, and you know what? That actually fits him because he said he had a battle mode instead of an alt mode. The only thing I don't like about it is there's nothing to cover up the 5mm ports on its feet. Because if you remember, the Reflector actually had his blaster go in between them. And the blaster for Emirate Xaaron goes on the top of the vehicle, actually making the tank's turret. So there's nothing really covering the feet ports when it comes to its vehicle mode. But other than that, I'm pretty glad we're getting these two figures. Because they never got a toy, and all we've been getting for the past few years was Generation 1. So I'm kind of glad that Legacy is giving us obscure characters and giving us stuff that we never got before. But other than that, that's it for the video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. And make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification so you don't miss another video like this. Because it may be a small clip for you guys, but it's a big help for me and the channel. And comment down below, out of this reveal, which is your favorite character. And if that's it, that's a wrap. Fade to black.